Imam Malik ibn Anas radiallahu anhu did not only take from the knowledge of Rabi'atun al-Ra'i, he also took other things. His adab. He also took hadith from him. He also took cleanliness and the style of dressing. Imam Malik used to dress elegantly. Being a scholar does not mean that you have to dress shabbily. Don't push away people from the hadith or from the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Imamuna Rabi'atun al-Ra'i used to care about how he dressed, how he looked in the public. It was said that Imamuna Malik took so much from him that you would never see Imamuna Malik eat in public. None of the students have seen him eat in public. You won't see him eat in public. It was said so much that Imam Malik had it so much that Imam Malik would not go to the market by himself. And we can talk about that maybe in other classes. The reason why. Imam Malik believed that a scholar should not be seen in the marketplace. Imam Malik had the opinion that it is better for a scholar to send his maid to the marketplace to buy things to get his needs for him, even if it requires that the scholar will pay more. Let me give you the reason. The fikra, the philosophy of going to markets is that you go there to haggle about price. Can you sell it for me this price? You know, like this and that. If a great scholar goes to the marketplace, people will say, Sheikh, they will look at his status, and instead of them to sell at the preferred price, they will honor him and bring down the price just because he's a scholar. Imam Malik is warrior. He fears Allah. He doesn't want, or he didn't want to use his status to put people in difficulty. He wanted them to make enough profit from their, and that's why he said you should not go to the market. He doesn't want the scholar to be seen haggling about prices. Everybody wants to save some money. You know, like that. Allahu Akbar Kabira. Imam Malik took from Rabi'atun al-Ra'i how to scrutinize hadith. Take a part of this hadith and connect it to the other hadith to make a complete sense out of it. That ordinary common people who are just narrating hadith could not do. Al-Imam Abdul Aziz ibn Abi Salama radiyallahu anhu said, when he was describing Rabi'atun al-Ra'i, he was talking to the people of Iraq, because the people of Iraq would say, Huwa min ahli al-Ra'i. He didn't have that much hadith. He said, Wallah. Abdul Aziz ibn Abi Salama said, Wallahi, I swear by Allah, ma ra'aytu ahfadha minhu. I've not met anyone who memorized hadith much more than Rabi'atun al-Ra'i. And that's why when Rabi'atun al-Ra'i died, Imam Malik grieved and said, ذهبت حلاوة الفقه مذ مات ربيعة. The taste, the sweetness of fiqh, you know, that prowess of deriving the rulings from the sources of the Sharia. He said, that dhawq, that halawa, that taste has disappeared since the death of Rabi'ah. He had special skill of deriving the rulings from the sources from the Kitab and Sunnah. He said, that taste, I can't feel it again after my teacher died. The scholars he had a special way of bringing out, you know, gems from the hadith and from the Kitab of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that no one in his time had. The scholars of his time respected him. And this is also very important. How did Imam Malik, how did he relate with his teacher Rabi'ah? We've spoken about how he learned from him. How did Malik relates the adab, the decorum that he observed with his teacher, rahimahullah. كان لا يتكلم في مجلسه. Whenever he was in the presence of Rabi'atun al-Ra', Imamuna Malik does not speak. He keeps quiet. Not because he's being stupid, not because he's dumb. And this is what we emphasize in this part of the world. We know that in this part of the world, our kids are taught to be outspoken. Yeah, I want to say that's my opinion. Yes, there are places where you say your opinion. There are places where you keep quiet, where you learn more. And that is the way of the halaqat of real ilm. We sit in front of our teachers as if we don't have opinion. I mean, throughout the life of Imam Malik, even when Imam Malik became a great scholar, because he became a scholar right in the lifetime of his teachers. And that's why he said that I did not start giving fatwa. Because Imam Malik, after gathering knowledge, he was appointed in Medina that you are the only person who has the capacity, Allahu Akbar, to sit on the seat of the Prophet in the masjid of the Prophet in Medina. This was the place that Sayyidina Abu Bakr sat and gave fatwa. This was the same place that Umar ibn al-Khattab sat and gave fatwa. The same place that Ali ibn Abi Talib and Sayyidina Uthman ibn Affan sat to give fatwa. They said nobody has the capacity to sit in that place that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam sat to give fatwa except Imamuna Malik radiyallahu anhu. Imam Malik himself said, I did not give fatwa in that place until 70, sab'un, among the scholars of Medina. Permit me to take your time, slow down. They were not just scholars. You know, the way, Allahu Akbar, the way we have, cadres, first degree, masters, PhD, there was a way that you knew the big scholars of Medina at that time. Allahumma salli ala Rasulillah. I don't have something here to demonstrate this. So the way you know the big scholars of Medina was that when they put on their imamah, they would do tahannuq. They would pass one of their hands like this. So he has a bow here and he has a long one there. That is the kid of the highest scholars of Medina. He said until 70 among the scholars in that keda who would do their imamah like this way, and this way. That's like 3 steps off until they gave me even the permission to give fatwa. Until that time, I wouldn't give fatwa in the masjid of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. هذا إمامكم يا شباب. This is the imam that we're going to be studying in his madhab. So when Imam Malik sat in front of his teacher, he would not talk. And when people ask him, in the presence of his teacher, he will say, my teacher is here. He would not answer, even if he knew the answer. When the Amir, the governor of Medina, will summon him for private consultation about the deen, he would not go to meet, look at it like the prime minister or the premier. He would not go. He will not answer that call until he sought permission from his teacher, Rabi'atun al-Ra'i. Allahu Akbar. Look at adab. Someone will say, but they saw my teacher there before I was called. The invitation is for me. They would even seek permission to answer the governor or the president before, because they have their teachers. Look at the position of teachers in Islam. When Ibn Shihab bin Zuhri radiyallahu anhu came, Imam Malik will tell us later that it was Imam Malik did not go to meet Rabi'a. As big as Rabi'a was, it was his teacher, did not make Ibn Shihab Afwan, did not go to study with Ibn Shihab bin Zuhri until his teacher took him there. Look at good teacher. He didn't say, oh, now that I want to seek higher knowledge, my student, will you wait at home? Let me go and get the knowledge. When I have the knowledge, I'll come and teach you. A good teacher says, this is a good student. Follow me to my teacher. Allah yarhamhum. Radiyallahu anhum ajma'in. So it was Rabi'at al-Ra'i. He would go in the company of Rabi'at al-Ra'i for higher learning with Ibn Shihab al-Zuhri radiyallahu anhu. So one day they were in the majlis of Ibn Shihab al-Zuhri. Ibn Shihab al-Zuhri threw a question to everybody. What is the fatwa upon this? What will be the ruling of this? Then Rabi'a, being a big student, answered, وَصَمَتَ مَالِكْ. Imam Malik kept quiet. Ibn Shihab al-Zuhri knew the capacity of Imam Malik. When he saw that Imam Malik kept quiet, he said, "Oh Malik, lima lam tujib? Why you keep quiet? Why you don't answer?" Lima lam tajib anta ya Malik. Imam Malik said, "Qad ajab al-ustaz." My teacher has spoken. Then Rabi'a ibn Shihab al-Zuhri said, "I want your opinion. And we will not leave this majlis until you speak." Look at Imam Ibn Shihab coercing him. You know, he knew Malik would not talk. He said, "If you don't speak, we are not going to leave here today." Then Imam Malik said his opinion. And his opinion was against what his teacher Rabi'at al-Ra'i said. Meaning that he had a different opinion, but he kept quiet. Why? Out of adab for his teacher. Today we see students. Allahu Akbar. Today, permit me to bring this to context. We have some of our teachers today that when they say something, we disagree with them, but we will never. We are saying this publicly. We will never go to the public and say something different from what they are saying in public. We won't. As long as they have their mustanad and what they are saying is not fundamentally clear-cut against the kitab of Allah and the sunnah of the Prophet, we will never. Even if you feel like we should go there, even if we disagree with them, we would not go to the public and do that to the public. We are people of adab who are well trained. We won't do that to our teachers. Then Ibn Shihab al-Zuhri said, "We go with Malik." The opinion of Malik was the one that was right. Look at the adab that Imam Malik had. The one of the message that we'll get from here is that, Allahu Akbar, you are allowed to keep quiet even when you have difference in opinion. And we learn this from who? إمامنا مالك إمام هذا المذهب. The next teacher that Imam Malik learned from is Abdul Rahman ibn Hurmuz. Abdul Rahman ibn Hurmuz was a'raj. A'raj means he is crippled in one of his limbs. Abdul Rahman ibn Hurmuz was also known as Abu Dawood al-Madani. Abu Dawood al-Madani. Abu Dawood al-Madani, Abdul Rahman ibn Hurmuz, was a freed slave. Rabi'a, freed slave. Listen to that. Abdul Rahman ibn Hurmuz, free slave of Al-Harith, the son of Abdul Muttalib. Definitely Ibn Hurmuz was among the Tabi'een. He met the Sahaba. He was one of the teachers of Imam Malik ibn Anas radiyallahu anhu. In fact, Ibn Hurmuz narrated from Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu and Abu Sa'id al-Khudri. He narrated from Ibn Abbas, Muawiyah ibn Abu Sufyan, and other Sahaba like that. This is, if you're asking of where did Imam Malik take from? He took from the people who took from the Sahaba radiyallahu anhum ajma'in. Memorize this name so that when people ask you, What are you doing? Say, we follow the madhab of the person who learned from the student of this, mention the name of the Sahaba. Radiallahu anhu. Ibn Hurmuz, we can technically say he was the first major teacher. Because Imam Malik sat with him for 7 straight years, non-stop, and he did not sit with any other person for those 7 years. He was only learning from Ibn Hurmuz, Abdurrahman Ibn Hurmuz. Ibn Hurmuz was not only strong in hadith and fiqh, he was also strong in knowledge of ancestry, the subject of ancestry. Learning about the lineage of the Arabs, the history of the Arabs. Imam Malik said, Kuntu ati ibn Hurmuza bukra. I would get to the house of Ibn Hurmuz very early in the morning. فَمَا أَخْرُجُ مِنْ بَيْتِي حَتَّى اللَّيْلِ. And I will not leave his house until night, until it is dark. It is interesting to know that Ibn Hurmuz, that we have said, is not an Arab. How did he learn until he wasn't an Arab? He was a freed slave. I don't want to use the word, he was physically challenged. This shows us that when we live in the Islamic world, it does not matter where you were born. It does not matter your kind of ancestry. As long as you are serious with your knowledge, you can reach the peak of wherever you can be. This is the motivation for all of you. Forget your limitations. Oh, I'm this. Oh, I'm slow. Oh, I'm... Whatever limitation. Use those limitations as the ladder. Oh, I have children. I have a wife. I have a busy schedule. Use those limitations as what? As a ladder, as an helipad to elevate you. So that people can say, even with all the limitations that you have, you're able to grow. This was not only the limitation that Abdurrahman ibn Hurmuz has. Ibn Hurmuz also was hard of hearing. He couldn't hear very well. كان أصمًا. So sometimes you may need to repeat things for him 2 or 3 times before he hears properly. And even with all this limitation, he grew to that level that people like Imam Malik would sit with him. In fact, he was put in the same category as Rabi'atun al-Ra'i, Ibn Shihab al-Zuhri, and even with people like elder statesmen like Amirul Mu'mineen, Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, and Abu Zanad, and others like that. People of his time, Sulaiman ibn Bilal, when he was talking about Ibn Hurmuz, he says, أَرُأَيْتَ الْعُلَمَاءَ وَالنَّاسِ. Tell me about the people that you met. Tell me about the scholars that you met. Someone asked Sulaiman ibn Bilal, and he said, مَا رَأَيْتُ عَالِمًا قَدْتُ يَنْفَعُكَ إِلَّا ذَاكَ الْأَصَمْ. If I will ask you to stick to one person, there are many ulama, but the one that will benefit you most, that you will get most knowledge from, is that deaf man, Abdurrahman ibn Hurmuz. One of the things that Imam Malik learned from Ibn Hurmuz was that he learned whatever Ibn Hurmuz does not know, he says, La adri. I don't know. This is very important. Why? We live in a time that someone claims to know everything. You see phone numbers for the fatwa, ask this sheikh. People, Allahu Akbar. And there is no time you ask them, they won't say, I don't know. Every time they know. Allahu Akbar. If people like the teachers of Imam Malik, Abdurrahman ibn Hurmuz, will say, La adri. Not 1 time, not 2 times, not 20 times, not 50 times, until he was known for saying, La adri, I don't know. Alimu awladakum la adri. Or the Imam Malik took from him, or as narrated, that Imam Malik would say, Alimu awladakum la adri. Teach your children to say they don't know when they don't know. Fa inna la adri nisful ilm. Because being able to say I don't know when you don't know is half of knowledge. Allahumma salli ala rasulillah. saying I don't know was taken from people like Umar ibn al-Khattab. He used to say it. Abdullah ibn Abbas and all of them like that.